All right, welcome back. We're still playing the waiting game, but in Lagos, in Ogun, in a number of other states across the Federation. We're playing the waiting game, waiting for official announcement of results as soon as we have them.
Imo as well.
Imo, as you heard, no.
All right. So
this is Imo that you're saying, and okay, well,
that's real
it would appear that there are some people there.
Yeah.
The is getting on the way.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's getting underway, but
people there,
there are people there, but
they're discussing. But
they're discussing.
Take the time we had the conversation with
Tope,
and he says we don't know, maybe the next 2-3 hours.
Yeah, but
so
I mean
that's real quick.
Well, yeah, but relatively speaking, I understand where you're coming from, but we'll wait and see what's going on with Imo. If indeed anything starts to happen there, of course we'll let you know and we'll go to it as soon as we get it.
Remember that in Imo they had a coalition officer switch. So
that's right.
They had to switch them around a bit.
Yeah.
And so that's why, well, one of the reasons
why that has been delayed. Yeah. It hasn't started at all. So it's not like they're on break or anything. And now this is Lagos that you're seeing. This is the Lagos one. We're just waiting for the official announcement and declaration of the results.
I remember that form is filled in manually, so it's taking
a bit of time.
Sort that out.
We're also waiting. We're also waiting for the Ogun State results. We've heard from quite a number of the local governments there. When last we heard from them, they said they were waiting for about three. They had 2, and so a total of 5 were being awaited, and then they expect to announce there. But of course, we've completed and heard the announcement from Kwara.
That's right.
Indeed, where the APC's Abdurrahman Abdurrazak was declared winner of that election.
That's
but
right.
while we do all the waiting, back to Dr.
Honor. You know, again, we're talking about how to move this nation forward politically. Yeah. You talked about the need for possibly the president to call a national, you called it a national retreat.
Yes.
And we wanted to know who would make up that retreat. Would it be based on party affiliation? That means the 91 political parties will send delegations, or would it be arbitrarily selected?
No, it cannot be arbitrary because we have divisions, known divisions in this country. For instance,
but it's not a national conference. We must.
No, it's not. It's not going to be a national conference.
Okay.
In terms of all the procedures for that, and we have seen in the past, you know. But I think that the presidents can, try to arrange a process that brings together all the different dimensions of this country: ethnicity, religion, region, states,
gender,
age in terms of youth and all that and all that. You know, and it doesn't need to be one discussion. It can be discussions, in which case a group, that has a focus on one of these dimensions can be convoked and they will discuss. And even as they are discussing, another group could be discussing. This doesn't have to take time, but we need to really define where we are moving.
Can we come back to, let's also come back to the process today or in the last 1 week.
Yes.
Whenever we're looking at the population distribution or looking at PVC collection, the main thing you'd hear is that the youths make up a large population of those who are going to vote. And now we see low voter turnout. Is it that they didn't come out, or I don't know what happened? Because there was such enthusiasm, and all the youth groups have been talking about how the youth are going to deliver, and they're not just social media people, they will come out, and then look at the kind of turnout that we saw.
Yeah, the turnout was low, and we can't exactly know the full reasons for such low turnout, but I'm sure that the youths did not come out as they made us believe before now. And there are a whole lot of, I teach young people, and I don't have this enthusiasm that many people have for the youth.
Why?
Because they have a whole lot of things that distract them.
But what age range do you teach?
But it's in the university?
Yeah, it is in the university, so that should be 18. For the undergraduates, 18 or 16 to 22, and then for the postgraduates, it could be anything, you know. But again, more of youths, you know, that would be 20s, 30s, 40s, you know. And we talk. You know, we interact. Many classes now are large. So you can come to a class and it will be up to 200, 300, 400. And then you are teaching some basic political courses and you cannot but discuss, you know, but interact, you know. And when you do that, you discover that many of these youths we are talking about, you know, you can inflame their passions and they will tell you they will come out on Saturday, you know, within that period that they feel that it is important. They will promise you they will come, you know, but a day to the election, they can have some other distraction. And on Monday, you ask them, did you go to vote? They will tell you, we couldn't go. You know, and just simply that way, you know.
It's amazing because Ladi talked about that and he said, let's hope there's no football match or let's hope there's nothing like of equal relevance.
And the way they will tell you they didn't go, they don't even feel they have missed anything or that they broke a promise or whatever.
Is it not because they feel like they don't how do you say, they don't belong or they don't own any part of the...
Not after
no, you see, is it what?
I said not after not too young to run. They made a lot of impact and they were all gearing up.
Didn't you just say a question? You just said something now. Just pray that there's no football match.
Yeah, something like that.
But there wasn't one.
Just pray there's no football.
Could be some other thing.
That's it, not only football.
So why is it that thing that takes their interest away from owning this nation or the national...
No, you see, because they are youth. You cannot expect them to own this nation the way some of us own it. Because they don't even understand this nation. I teach political science courses, and I start by... Sometimes, you know, I will tell them about Shagari, and I will be surprised that out of 200 students, not up to 10 know anything about Shehu Shagari as president. You know... Or you are telling them about First Republic. They don't even know.
Have any idea?
In fact, they don't have an idea of what they are talking about. You know. So the truth is that, number one, there is not that depth again in our youth as it used to be when some of us were in that category. Because I could remember when I was a 100-level student at UNN, you know. The first day I went into a political science class, 101, and they were talking about some concepts, you know. It was such, and it was such. In fact, my word was almost like totally upturned, you know. And I took time off to go and try to know more about what these professors were telling me. Now they have smartphone. I told them that if some of us had the facilities they have now, maybe we would have changed this world entirely, you know. We didn't have it. It took so much time for me to go from my hostel to the library. And by the time you go to the library, they will tell you that I didn't come with one card. And you have to go back, and we'll still come back again after going to collect it. Now, these people have all those things at the tip of their hands. And they will use that phone for everything except to find out that information that is necessary for their academics. You know, when I was teaching I started my career in a private university. And then, all these iPads were coming out newly. So they always carried it at their back. You know, and it amazed me that with all those loads they were carrying at their back, they never did my assignments in any different way. So after some time, I started calling them. It was a joke, but I was calling them beasts of burden because they were just carrying loads, just like a donkey.
But if that indeed is the case, Dr. Honor, they form the majority.
Yeah.
They're either disconnected or they have refused for one reason or the other to participate in the actual process.
Yeah.
Because when you, as Ijoma pointed out earlier, when you go on to Twitter, all these other platforms which are online with the smartphones you mentioned, they're very active. You put any statement there, you may have 6,000 replies within an hour. But they don't participate in the actual process. But each time you engage, some of them, as I had cause to, because during this election process, when I was coming to work, I noticed that it's not only the little kids. The 18, 22-year-olds you mentioned, they turned the major expressways into football fields. And they were playing while the elections were going on. You say, aren't you supposed to vote? Don't you have a PVC? Are we responsible? And when I say we, I don't mean me or us here. But is the society responsible for their disconnect?
Well, you are talking about disconnect, and I think there is so much to be said about that. You know, for instance, when we were in school as young boys and girls, we were looking up to finishing this degree so that we'll get a good job. And the jobs were there. Now they don't have that kind of outlook again. You know, they have seen their senior brothers and sisters who have finished 2, 3, 4 years ago and they are not doing anything. Are you getting it? They have even seen them in school, 4 years, 5 years in school, and they never really did anything worthwhile. You know, when, for instance, some of us are in school, within a year or so, you would have gone for one competition or the other, and you would have performed excellently. You will come back with a prize. You know, your father, who is not so much, who was just managing to teach you, will be so proud of those things. And then the junior ones are trying to go to school and do as you did. Now all those kind of things are not there again. So the senior person just goes to school. It is a flat process. Just goes to school, comes out of school, and then the junior one he already knows that he will just go to school and pass out of school that way. So they are not really looking up, you know, to anything at the end of the process. Because of that, maybe they don't even care. Maybe they just disconnect. They are just going to school as a routine, especially because their parents want them to go to school, and they go there, they are not struggling to be anything, you know. One of these days, I saw somebody who graduated as the best student in school, you know, and they were interviewing him, and he was complaining in that interview that he expected the school to give him a prize of maybe a car and all that. You know that kind of
very high expectations.
You know that kind of expectation. Those days, you know, we wouldn't be talking about the best graduating student in school. Will not be talking about a car. We'll be talking about having a scholarship to Harvard or to London School of Economics. Are you getting, you know, or getting the best of jobs and all that. These are the kind of things. But these days, the value system is not. So when they even talk on these platforms, on this Facebook and all that, the discussion is, if maybe you have not noticed, but the discussion is not deep enough. You know, they just take you as you come. You just talk about the election, they reply you about the election. They are not going beyond that election to what elections can help us. For instance, you know, as a first-year student, I wasn't talking about, they were not teaching me just about the election. Even as they were teaching me about the election, they made us understand that the elections were the gateway to leadership. And that leadership was the avenue to development. I don't know if I did.
Yeah, the nexus between the three.
So you already knew the plot, and you were not going to vote for somebody because you felt that that person will not, you know, work well within this trajectory up to the development part. Now, they just vote without really thinking about leadership or development. So most times they might be voting because the person is young, or because the person is handsome or beautiful, or the person, most likely because the person has money. Are you getting it? You know, and all that. So the youth we have now are not the youth really that can affect our political process in the manner that their population
And yet we are going to have to hand this.
Exactly. I was going to say, Dr. Ona, the picture you paint is a picture of, I'm sorry to use the word gloom, because you sound like if they are not interested in what's going to happen tomorrow, all they care about is the now. In other words, don't even consider handing over this future to them.
But their argument is that they didn't learn from anybody else, that what they see now is not better than where they are. You know, they say that some of them, when you talk to them, they say their leaders or those who are ahead of them have not impressed them either.
Yeah. Again, this is, well, the present youth we have, again, is not something we just handle, or their problems is not something we can handle in a one-off avenue like this, you know. Because the youth we have now is also the youth that can make this kind of argument. It's a youth that is defensive. It's a youth that is dodging of responsibility. Are you getting me? You know, so they will always try to push the blame.
Dr. Ona, I'm sorry, this might sound argumentative, but are they wrong?
Well, in a comparative sense, because I'm talking about the youth we have now.
I'm talking about the
comparatively with the youth that we were, that the youth that we had.
You said
when
something.
You compare them, when you talk in, a comparative manner, then you know you will know that they are wrong.
Dr. Ona, hold on. So in 1990.
You mean my period of youth?
No, that's where I'm coming. So in 19, I won't do that. So in 1997,
yes,
a professor told me something. He said, Professor Anyadike, of blessed memory, told me that in their time in the university, they had 1 hour of theory in the Department of Physical Sciences. And by the time they were graduating, there were jobs waiting for them. They knew there were jobs waiting for them. So now they had a sense of purpose. They knew where they were going. Now the youth of today have a class, have 8 periods in a day. And of that 8 periods, they have 8 hours or thereabouts of theory. In the physical science, I'm using physical sciences, because someone might say in political science there are no practicals per se. So now they get that, and then by the time they finish graduating, there is no job waiting for them. If you'd want to compare the two of them, this one knows that by the time he's done this, country or his leaders have something that he's coming out to deal with. This other one knows that by the time he's done, he has to come out and handle himself. How do you now say that they are wrong in their thinking that they don't have any business here? I might as well fend for myself. Because these people don't care for me. They've not shown me any example. Why don't I set my own example and do my own thing?
Again, comparatively, if the youth of our time, had a sense of purpose because society was providing for them, I also expect that the present youth will be able to be on top of their own situation. If they don't have that kind of end result that we had, then I think that what they should be doing is not to disconnect from society as they have done, but to engage society in a different way, in a way relevant to their own time.
Maybe that's what they're doing, becoming entrepreneurs, setting up businesses for themselves that they think will take care of them when they get to.
But we're talking about our politics. And
exactly.
Now when we come to politics, if you bring it into politics, you will see again why they are disconnected. Because that entrepreneurship...
Okay, I'm going to have to interrupt this again to go back to Lagos. It does look like he's ready to speak. Remember we said when they speak, we will stop.